All right, let's talk about the future of the cloud. Where is it all headed? Well, we're going to dig into some really fascinating insights from Chris Anasicek. He's the CTO of the Cloud Native Computing Foundation to break down the major shifts happening right now and what they'll mean just a few years from now. But let's start with a really big question to get you thinking. What if the next major contributor to the open source projects that basically power our entire digital world wasn't a person? What if it was an AI? Just hold that thought. We are definitely coming back to it with a pretty wild prediction. To really understand where we're going, we first have to look at where we've been. Over the past decade, the Cloud Native Computing Foundation, you'll hear me call it the CNCF, has quietly built the very groundwork for the modern internet as we know it. I mean, think about this. A decade ago, it all kicked off with just 20 members. All of them were centered around this one promising but still new project called Kubernetes. It was a pretty humble beginning for what would become, well, an absolute explosion of innovation. And what an explosion it's been. Today, that small group has just blossomed into this incredible ecosystem of over 230 open source projects. And the people power behind it all, it's just staggering. We're talking about a global community of over 300,000 contributors from pretty much every country on Earth, all building this technology together. It's amazing. So you might be asking, how in the world did this happen? Well, the key was evolution. The CNCF didn't just cling to one narrow definition of cloud native. No, it expanded based on what users actually needed. It went from just container orchestration into things like observability, service meshes, platform engineering, and now the absolute critical infrastructure for the entire AI stack. Now, right at the center of this whole ecosystem is the CNCF's cornerstone project, Kubernetes. And its role has fundamentally, completely changed. See, it's not just a tool for managing containers anymore, not by a long shot. The best way to think about Kubernetes today is as the de facto operating system for the cloud. It's become this universal layer where all modern applications live and run. And the secret to its success? Honestly, it was discipline. Instead of letting it become this one giant bloated program, the maintainers kept the core super lean. They smartly moved all the specialized functions like storage and runtimes into plugins. And that discipline, that choice to stay lean, is exactly what allowed Kubernetes to adapt and evolve. It's the reason it's now capable of managing the incredibly demanding workloads of the AI revolution, like orchestrating these massive clusters of GPUs for model inference. Okay, so this new world of really complex workloads is driving another major trend. It's what you could call a great convergence between two fields that, honestly, used to be seen as completely separate. The basic idea here is really simple. You cannot protect what you cannot see. It's that straightforward. In today's massive, complicated systems, visibility isn't just some nice-to-have feature. It is an absolute prerequisite for security. So, observability, which is just the ability to see what's happening, and security are actually merging into a single practice. We're even seeing this play out in the market, with major security companies buying up observability startups. It just proves that using visibility to drive security really is the future. But the rise of AI isn't just a technical shift, not at all. It's also a massive economic one, and that financial pressure is completely reshaping the cloud landscape as we speak. Here's the deal. The cost of running AI workloads, training these giant models and then running them for inference, it just dwarfs the cost of traditional applications. This isn't just an engineering problem anymore. It's a huge financial challenge for every single company in the AI space. And this cost pressure, it sets off a whole chain reaction. As AI workloads grow, the cloud bills just skyrocket. This forces companies to adopt really strict financial discipline. There's a whole practice for it called FinOps. And that discipline, in turn, drives them to look beyond the big, expensive cloud providers to more specialized, cost-effective options, like clouds built specifically for GPUs or regional clouds that help them comply with local data laws. So what holds this new, fragmented, multi-cloud world together? You guessed it, Kubernetes and the other CNCF projects. They are the universal glue. They're what makes applications portable and keeps companies from getting locked into any one single provider. Which brings us full circle. We've seen how the cloud was built, We've seen how AI is totally reshaping it. So now let's get back to that question we started with and reveal a really provocative prediction about who or what is going to build the future. Because according to Chris and Isaac, one of the most significant changes in the history of open source is just around the corner. Here it is. The prediction is that by the end of 2026, AI systems themselves will be among the top contributors to major open source projects. That's right. They'll be writing code, finding bugs, and submitting changes, potentially outpacing many human developers by sheer volume. But this is a classic double-edged sword. While it could massively accelerate development, which is incredible, it also creates a huge new burden. The human maintainers are going to have to review a potential flood of AI-generated code. And we all have to remember, higher volume does not mean higher quality. And look, this isn't some theoretical problem in the distant future. Just think back to when Stack Overflow was suddenly flooded with AI-generated answers that looked correct, but were often subtly and dangerously wrong. The open source world now faces that exact same challenge, but this time it's with the actual code that runs our systems. And that leaves us with the ultimate question for the future of software. It's pretty clear that development is going to be a collaboration between humans and AI. So the challenge is this: how do we harness the absolutely incredible speed of AI while still guiding it with the irreplaceable wisdom and context that really only human experts can provide?